In the beginning, there was only emptiness. And then God spoke, and everything began.
Let there be light.
Chaos became order. Life responded to his voice. But the rebellion was born. And what began in heaven reached the earth. Man fell, the earth became corrupt, and judgment came. But in the midst of the end, God preserved a beginning. Man tried to rise up and was split apart.
And let us confuse their language.
A promise was made.
Look at the sky and count the stars. So shall your descendants be.
And proven.
Father, we have the fire and the wood.
God will provide.
Betrayal. Pain. Waiting. Purpose. This is the story of the beginning, of creation and the fall, of humanity and the promise, from the first breath of life to the birth of a nation. This is the story of Genesis. In the beginning, there was no form. There was no time. There was no sound. Only emptiness. A deep abyss, without limits, wrapped in dense darkness, as if nothing had ever existed. Absolute silence. But that silence was not absence. It was presence. Because there, God was already there. The Spirit of God hovered over the waters, not as something distant, but as living authority, as restrained power, ready to manifest. And then, God spoke. Let there be light. It was not a process, it was a rupture. Light burst into existence with absolute force, piercing the darkness as if it had never held authority. The void retreated. Chaos was ordered, and for the first time, something responded to his voice. God observed and said, "It is good." But that was only the beginning. The heavens stretched out like an endless mantle. The waters were separated, boundaries were established. The earth emerged, mountains rose, valleys opened. Rivers began to flow like living veins across creation. Everything obeyed, without resistance, without delay, because everything existed by His word. And then life appeared. In the heavens, movement. In the seas, depth. On the earth, abundance. Every creature, every detail carried intention. Nothing was random. Nothing was without purpose. And yet, something greater was still to come. But before the creation of man, The heavens were already full. They were beings of light, created before human time, powerful, majestic, servants of the presence. They beheld the glory. They lived near the throne, and among them, one stood out. His presence was different, his form striking, his beauty undeniable. His name, Lucifer, the bearer of light. He was not ordinary. He carried authority. He carried honor. He walked among the fire without being consumed. Close, very close. But something began to change, not around him, within him. A thought, almost imperceptible, an idea that did not come from God.
Why not me?
One of the beings nearby notices, looks at him.
Lucifer, be careful what you keep inside.
But he does not respond. That thought grew. It repeated. It strengthened. And what was only an idea became desire. Lucifer looked around. He saw the glory. He saw the throne, but no longer as before. Something had been corrupted. And then he said,
I will ascend.
Ascend? To where?
Above the heights. I will raise my throne.
The spiritual realm began to react. Something was wrong, very wrong.
I will be like the Most High.
Silence, but not a silence of peace, a silence of rupture. Because in that moment, rebellion was born, and he was not alone. Others looked, others listened, others were influenced. The same idea spread, not as imposition, but as seduction, a false promise of elevation. And one of them says hesitantly,
If he goes up, Wintabanti will go up with him. Then there will be no more limits.
Silence. The decision was made. And then, what was order became division. What was harmony became tension. The heavens were no longer at peace. And then, God spoke. A single word.
Enough.
Absolute silence. All creation responds. There was no discussion. There was no negotiation. Authority does not need to explain itself. And in that instant, the fall began. Lucifer was cast down, not as one who descends, but as one who is expelled, violent, irreversible, like lightning cutting through space. And those who followed him fell with him. The light was corrupted, the glory was distorted, and what once reflected God now opposed him. Heaven returned to silence, but not the same silence as before, because now there was a war in motion, not visible, but real, and it had not ended. It had only changed its place. And then, God turned his attention to the earth. The stage was set, creation complete. But something was still missing, something different from everything that had been made, something that would not only exist, but would carry his image. And then, God descended.
Not distant, not as a spectator, but present. He leaned over the dust of the earth. His hands touched what he had created. And he began to form, detail by detail, with precision, with intention, a body without life, without movement, but perfect. Then God drew near and breathed. The breath of the Creator Himself entered that body. And in that instant, humanity began. Adam breathed, his chest filled with air, his eyes opened. Confusion, awareness, life.
What am I?
And then he heard the voice, the same voice that had created everything.
Adam, you are the work of my hands.
Silence. Adam watches, not fully understanding, but something within him recognizes.
It was I who formed you, and I gave you life.
And you? Who are you?
I am. Upon you is my purpose.
The wind passes. Creation moves around him. But now, it was not only creation. It was responsibility. Adam looks around. The animals, the al-ard, the sky.
All of this answers to you.
And it will answer you as long as you remain in me.
And God led him, not to just any place, but to a garden, a prepared place, set apart, perfect, Eden. There was no pain, there was no death, there was no fear. Life flowed without interruption. And God walked with man, not distant, but near, present, real. Adam touches a tree, feels it, watches an animal pass by, and there everything seemed complete. But beyond that garden, in the shadows, something was watching, silent, waiting. The same presence that had fallen now turned toward God's creation. And the war that began in heaven was about to reach the earth. The garden was living silence, not an empty silence, but a silence full of presence. Everything breathed harmony. Light passed through the leaves gently. The wind was not force, it was movement. The earth did not resist, it responded. And at the center of it all, man. Adam walked among the trees, observing, learning, naming. Every creature that approached was received, every detail was understood. But above all, he was not alone. God walked with him, not as a distant voice, but as a real presence, visible, near. And then, in one of those moments, God spoke.
Adam,
Yes.
all of this has been given to you freely,
Everything is given.
but one tree must not be touched.
Adam looks at her, now with real attention, and asks,
Why?
Because in the day you eat from it, you will surely die.
What is death?
It is separation from the life I gave you.
Then I will not eat.
And God watches without answering, because the choice was still to come. Time passes, the garden remains perfect, but something still was not complete. Adam was surrounded by life, but there was a silent emptiness. He observes the animals, each one with its pair, and something within him responds. God observes, not from afar, but with intention, and declares,
It is not good for man to be alone.
Adam does not respond, but he feels it.
Then God approaches. Adam, rest.
And a deep sleep falls upon him. The body relaxes, consciousness fades. And in that moment, God acts, not with words, but with precision. From the man himself, he forms the woman, not identical, but corresponding. When Adam awakens, the world seems the same, but it is not. He rises, looks around, and then he sees her. Time stops. His breathing changes. Something within him aligns. He approaches slowly, almost in disbelief, and says,
You are bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Who am I?
You are like me. Mourn, but you are not me.
Silence. Deep. Perfect. There, union is born. And for the first time, man does not only live, he relates. They walk together, without shame, without fear, without burden. Eden remains perfect, but something outside it is not. Among the trees, in the deepest parts of the garden, a presence moves, silent, watching. The same one that fell, now disguised, the serpent. It does not invade, it waits, observes, studies, until it finds the right moment. And then it approaches. Eve is alone, the environment calm, the sound of leaves, the gentle movement of the wind, and then a voice.
Is that really what God said?
Eva turns around, surprised, but not scared.
That you cannot eat from any tree?
We can eat, yes, from all the trees. But from that one, God said we shouldn't eat.
Interesting. And why?
Because we will die.
Silence. The serpent moves closer, now lower, more intimate.
To die? You know what that means? Have you ever seen this happen?
Eve does not answer, but she feels it. The serpent continues.
No. Then perhaps it's not true. Certainly, they will not die.
Eve looks at the fruit, longer now. The serpent draws even closer, almost beside her.
God knows that on the day you eat, your eyes will be open, and you will be like Him, knowing good and evil.
Now, it is no longer just a conversation. It is a decision. Eve looks at the fruit. Before, it was just part of the garden. Now, it seems different, more attractive, more necessary.
Like Him.
The desire grows, not physical, but internal. To be more, to go beyond, the same echo that began in the heavens. She reaches out her hand, hesitates, looks around.
Adam.
No response. Silence. For a moment, time holds its breath. And then, She takes it. She looks at the fruit in her hands, breathes, and eats. Nothing happens for a second. She blinks, looks around.
I'm alive. I didn't die.
But inside, everything changes.
Adam returns. He stops. He looks at Eve. Something is wrong.
Eva, what have you done?
I ate.
And?
I didn't die.
She extends the fruit, more firmly now.
He said that we would die.
Perhaps not the way we thought.
Adam closes his eyes for a moment, takes a deep breath, and then he decides. He takes it and eats. And then everything changes, not in the world around them, but within them. Their eyes open, but not as they expected. Not power, awareness. They look at each other, and for the first time, they see each other differently.
Adam, what's happening?
Don't know.
Exposed, vulnerable, shame enters, heavy, unknown. They try to cover themselves, hurried, confused, as if hiding were possible. But then, the voice.
Adam, where are you?
Adam freezes, breathing fast, heart racing.
He is here.
I heard your voice, and I was afraid.
Afraid?
So I hid.
A word never spoken before now exists. Fear.
Who told you that you were naked? You ate from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from.
Adam hesitates, looks at Eve.
The woman that you gave me, she gave it to me, and I ate.
God looks at her.
What have you done?
The serpent. Lord. It was she who deceived me.
And then, everything is exposed. And God speaks, not as before, now as judge.
To the serpent, on your belly you shall crawl. You will crawl, and you shall eat dust every day.
And then, something greater.
I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. She will be wounded, but one day your head will be crushed.
The promise is born, even in the fall. And then comes the final moment. Eden can no longer be inhabited.
Lord.
Is there no other way?
Silence, heavy. God does not answer. He leads, not with violence, but with decision. Eve weeps in silence. Adam holds her hand. For the first time, afraid to lose. They walk. Adam looks back, Eve too. The garden growing distant, the presence farther away. And then, at the entrance, cherubim, immense, imposing, and a sword, living fire, turning, guarding the way. The access was closed. Outside, the world is different. The air is heavy. The silence is different. And for the first time, man feels not only life, but existence with weight. But even there, something remains, the promise. Because the war
has not ended. It has only changed its place. And now, it lives within man. Time moves forward. Days become years, and years begin to shape a new reality. Outside Eden, life is no longer light. The earth no longer responds as before. Effort is constant, fatigue inevitable, and something unseen already dwells within man, something silent but present. And then, life begins again. Eve gives birth, the first birth outside the garden. Pain, effort, a cry, but also hope. She holds the child in her arms, her eyes still wet, and says,
I found a man. With the Lord's help, you will be strong. It won't be like we were.
Time passed, and another son was born, Abel. Different, quieter, more observant.
Two brothers, growing in the same world, but not in the same way. The years shaped their paths. Cain became a man of the ground, strong, direct, marked by effort. His hands carried the weight of labor. Abel tended the flock. He observed more than he spoke. He separated, he chose, he protected. One day, Cain watches Abel selecting a lamb and asks,
Why always the best? Because it's not just about giving, it's about who receives.
Cain does not answer, but he keeps it inside. Two brothers, two natures, and with time, something began to form, not visible, but real. The day came, the moment to present themselves before God. Cain brought what he had produced, fruit of the ground, the result of his effort. He places it before God in silence, but this time he murmurs,
I worked very long and very hard for this.
Abel comes after, carrying the lamb, the best, without defect.
Before handing it over, he closes his eyes and proclaims to the Lord,
The best I have is yours, Lord.
Silence. Time slows. And then God responds. Something shifts. Something is accepted. Abel perceives it, but does not react. Cain perceives it and reacts. His gaze changes, his face hardens, his breathing grows heavy.
You knew it would be you and not me.
No, brother. I just trusted.
This makes everything worse. And God speaks to him. Cain, why are you angry? Cain answers this time,
I did everything right. So why was he chosen and not me?
God answers, If you do good, you will be accepted. But if you don't, sin is crouching at the door. It desires to dominate you, but you must dominate it.
Cain clenches his fist, but does not answer, because in that moment, he was no longer listening. He was fighting within. Days pass, but the tension does not fade. It grows until one day...
Brother, let's go to the field. I have something to show you.
Let's go, brother.
They walk. Along the way, Abel asks,
Are you still carrying that thing?
Regarding what?
Angry.
You think you're better than me?
No, that's not it, brother.
But it's too late. Cain attacks, without warning, without control. Silence, the first silence after death. Cain remains there, breathing heavily, hands trembling.
It wasn't my intention. I didn't want to.
But he did. And then God speaks.
Where is Abel, your brother?
I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?
Silence. And then God answers. The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground.
Cain closes his eyes, because now there is no more denial. Now you will be cursed. The earth changes. Cain recoils.
No. My punishment is greater than I can bear. They're going to kill me!
No. You will live with this. Absolute weight. Cain leaves. He walks away, not only from the place, but from the presence.
Time passes. Generations rise. Cities begin to be built. Humanity grows, organizes, develops. But something does not improve. It worsens. The heart of man did not return to what it was. It drifted even farther. What began as disobedience became violence. What was once the exception became the pattern. Men live without limits, without fear, without awareness. The earth begins to carry the weight. Heaven watches. And the silence of God is not absence, it is waiting. But that waiting would not last forever, because evil had not yet reached its limit, and greater forces were about to manifest. Time passed. Generations multiplied. The earth was filled. Cities rose. Men learned to build, to plant, to survive. But something within them did not change. The heart remained inclined toward evil. Violence grew, silent at first, but constant, like a shadow spreading. And as humanity multiplied, heaven watched. But not only watched. There were those who still looked upon the earth, not as God does, but with desire. Beings who once walked in the presence, but now were separated. The fallen were not inactive. They observed and saw something they should not desire. The daughters of men, beauty, fragility, humanity. And something ignited again. The same error, the same desire to cross boundaries, but now in a new form. And then they descended, not as before, not in glory, but in rupture, tearing the boundary between heaven and earth. The night felt different, the air heavier,
and in silence they touched the world of men. One of them rises among the others, a leader, decisive, and speaks,
I want you to know, if we do this, there's no turning back.
The others watch, but do not step back. Another answers,
There's no turning back from the moment we fall. So let's take what we want.
a pact, a collective decision, irreversible. And then they give themselves to the choice. The union happened. What should never have happened, happened. Order was broken. Separation was violated. And from it, something was born. At first, it seemed like life, but it was not. They grew quickly, faster than any man, stronger, heavier, more intense. And then, the world began to notice. They were not like the others, and it did not take long before they became impossible to ignore.
Giants, colossal, dominant. The valiant men of antiquity, men of renown. The earth seemed small beneath their steps. Their presence inspired fear. Their gaze, oppression. They did not merely exist. They dominated. They took. They consumed. And when food was not enough, they turned against their fellow men.
Violence, without limit, without awareness, without mercy. But it was not only fear, it was fascination. Men began to look at them not only as a threat, but as power.
They are not like us, they are not men. They are children of the gods.
The idea spreads, fast, dangerous, seductive. Men bow, offer, sacrifice, seek favor, seek protection, seek power. And the ones who descended accept.
You give yourselves away so easily.
Do you know why?
You were made to worship. You just chose the wrong target.
And so, the fallen become what they were never meant to be. Gods. False. Born of deception, sustained by corruption. And what was once relationship with the Creator becomes idolatry. And it was not only strength. Those who descended did not bring only presence. They brought knowledge, forbidden knowledge. They taught men what they were never meant to know. Weapons, war, metal, dominion, manipulation. A man watches a blade being forged and asks,
with this, can we control?
With this, you can dominate.
And humanity changed, fast, too fast. Men learned to destroy, to control, to corrupt, to create without God, to live without limits. And the world plunged, not slowly, but all at once. Corruption was no longer partial, it was total. The earth was filled with violence, each generation worse than the last, each decision farther from the Creator. And meanwhile, the giants grew. They multiplied.
They became living legends, but not legends of admiration, of terror. They did not fear God. They did not respect boundaries. They did not recognize authority. And humanity bowed, not out of honor, but out of fear. A man watches a giant pass and whispers to another,
If we don't bow down, they'll take us.
No, brother, they already have.
Heaven watched,
but now not in silence, because it had crossed the limit. Creation was being corrupted, not only by man, but by what had come from outside. And then God looked upon the earth, not as in the beginning, not with delight, but with weight, with sorrow, with justice. He saw everything. Nothing was hidden, nothing was concealed. Every action, every intention, every thought. And then he spoke. My spirit will not remain in man forever. Wickedness has become great on the earth. The weight of the sentence grows. Every thought is continually evil. There was no more balance, no more natural return. The world was lost. But then, among all, one man, different, not perfect, but aligned, not strong, but faithful. He did not corrupt himself. He did not surrender. He did not follow the flow. His name, Noah. He looks at the world around him, violence, chaos, fear, and says in silence,
"This cannot continue."
And God saw him. In the midst of chaos, there was still one who listened, still one who obeyed. And then God decided not only to act, but to end it, because what began with a choice now required an answer. And what was coming would not be small, it would not be local, it would be total. The world was no longer the same. The earth carried the weight of violence. The air felt heavier. Each generation farther from what was once pure. Men no longer sought God. They created their own laws, their own paths. And what they had learned did not bring wisdom. It brought destruction. The giants walked among them, imposing, dominant. Humanity no longer ruled. It survived. And in the midst of all this, one man remained different, Noah. He walked against the current. He was not the strongest. He was not the most influential, but he was faithful. While the world laughed, he listened. While the world ignored, he obeyed. And then God spoke to him, not like a distant echo, but direct, clear. Noah. He rises, attentive. And then the sentence, "The end of all flesh has come before me." The weight of the words falls. Noah breathes deeply. The earth is filled with violence because of them. I will destroy the earth. Noah opens his eyes slowly and asks,
"What will this be like, my Lord? Will everything be destroyed, Lord?"
The answer comes firm. Everything that has breath. The world, as he knew it, was coming to an end. But then, God continues, "Make yourself an ark, a wooden structure, large, strong, closed inside and out." The description is precise, detailed, without room for error.
"Forgive me, I don't understand. Why must I do this?"
And the answer comes, "I will bring a flood upon the earth. The waters will cover everything, everything that has breath. will perish. Absolute silence. Noah stands still, absorbing. But then, hope.
But with you, I will establish my covenant. You shall enter the ark, you, your family, and of every living thing, to
preservation in the midst of judgment. Noah bows his head and says,
I will do it, my Lord. I will do everything you said.
And God watches, because in that moment, it was not only obedience, it was faith. And Noah does not question anymore. He begins. Years pass, and the ark grows, day after day, plank by plank, under the sun, under exhaustion, under the eyes of others, and they laugh. They always laugh.
Did you see that old man? He's building a boat where there's no sea. That old man is crazy. He talks about water falling from the sky and that God warned him.
But Noah continues, without arguing, without answering, because he does not build by logic, he builds by faith. Decades pass. The world remains the same, violent, corrupt, blind. But the ark is finished, imposing, unlike anything ever seen. And then, something begins to happen. Not by human action, but by divine command. The animals begin to come. From every direction, sky, earth, fields, mountains, small, great, strong, fragile, all guided, as if an invisible force were leading them. Men watch, confused, disturbed, but still they do not understand. And then God speaks again. Noah, enter the ark, you and your family, for in 7 days I will send rain upon the earth. Time closes in. 7 days. The countdown begins. Noah enters. His family enters. The animals enter. The door remains open for a time, like a final silent invitation. But no one enters. No one believes. Until the door closes. Not by Noah's hands, but by God. The sound echoing like a sentence. And then the sky darkens, not like night, but like a warning. The wind shifts, stronger, more violent. Clouds gather, heavy, loaded. But before the first drop, something else happens. In the heavens, movement, not chaos, order, judgment. Beings descend, not like those who came before, but different, firm, irrevocable. They do not speak to men, they do not negotiate, they do not observe, they execute. And they find those who descended, the watchers. One of them notices. His expression changes. For the first time, there is something close to fear.
They came. They will judge us for our sins. They can't. They can't. We are powerful. They can't take us.
But they can. The presence that descends cannot be resisted. One of the messengers declares,
"You have crossed the line. You have corrupted creation. Now you will be contained."
They try to resist. Some retreat, others advance.
but there is no battle, because there is no equality. Invisible forces surround them, like chains that cannot be seen, but cannot be broken. And then they are pulled, not to the earth, not to the heavens, but downward, to a place not made for men, nor for life. Deep, dark, sealed, an abyss. As they are taken, one of them looks to the earth, to the giants, to mankind.
This doesn't end here.
And then, the first drop. It falls on dry ground, strange, unfamiliar. Another, and another, and then the sky opens. Rain, violent, unceasing. The waters descend with force, without control, without pause. Now, not only judgment upon men, but upon everything that had been corrupted. The waters fall relentlessly, without restraint, without end. And at the same time, the earth breaks open. The fountains of the deep burst forth, water from above, water from below. The world is taken. Men run, confused, desperate. They had never seen this, never imagined it. Now the fear is real. They scream, seek shelter, climb, ascend, but the waters rise faster, always faster. And then, the ark. They see it. They run to it. They strike it. They cry out.
Open up! Please! We believe now!
Desperation, but there is no answer. The door remains closed because the time of choice has ended.
The waters rise. They swallow fields, cities, mountains begin to disappear. The giants fight. They try to resist, but not even their strength is enough. Because when God acts, there is no power that can stand. Inside the ark, silence, the sound of rain, constant, heavy. Noah remains, standing, watching, knowing. There is no joy, there is no triumph, only reverence, because this is not victory, it is judgment. "40 days, 40 nights, without pause, without rest. The whole world submerged. Nothing remains, nothing breathes, nothing lives, except those within the ark. And then silence begins to return. The waters remain, but the rain ceases. The sky clears, slowly, and the ark floats, alone, over a world that no longer exists. Everything that was known is gone. Everything that was corrupted has been taken. And now, only silence remains, and within it, a new beginning. Because the judgment has passed, but the story is not finished. Silence has returned, but not the same silence as in the beginning. It is a heavy silence, weighted, as if the world itself is still absorbing what has happened. The waters cover everything, without form, without reference, without visible life, only vastness.
Inside the ark, time was different. Days passed, but there was no change. The sound of water against the wood, constant, repetitive, hypnotic. Noah remains, silent most of the time, watching, thinking, carrying the weight of all he had seen, his family too. No one says much, because there is nothing to say. Everything was left behind. And then God remembered, not as one who forgets, but as one who decides to act. The wind begins, subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but constant. The waters begin to move, to recede, slowly, very slowly, as if the world itself is being rebuilt. Days become weeks, weeks, months. The ark continues, but something changes. The ark no longer floats the same way. It rests. Noah notices. He rises, walks to the opening, looks. There is expectation. Noah releases a raven. It flies, disappears, but does not return with an answer. Silence continues. Then, a dove. It goes out, flying over that new world, but returns with no place to rest. It is not yet time. Days pass. He tries again. The dove goes out. Time passes. And then it returns. But this time it carries something. A leaf. Green. Alive. Noah watches, takes it. But now it is not empty. It is hope.
Life has returned.
More time, more waiting, until finally the earth reveals itself, dry, firm, prepared. And then God speaks. Noah, come out of the ark, you, your family, and everything with you. The command is clear, simple. The door opens. Light enters, strong, different. After so long inside, the world feels new. Noah takes the first step. His foot touches the ground, firm, real. He stops, looks around, takes a deep breath. The world is different. The animals come out, each in its own pace, spreading, resuming, beginning again. Creation moves again, but now without the weight of what existed before. Noah remains. He does not run, he does not speak, he simply observes. And then he does something. He builds, not a house, not a shelter, an altar, stone upon stone, in silence, with intention. When he finishes, he stops and looks to the sky. No words at first, only presence. And then he says,
Lord, you remained. You remained.
And then God responds.
Not only with a voice, but with a sign. The clouds still cover the sky, but between them, something appears. Light breaking through the moisture, colors,
forming an ark, alive, brilliant, unlike anything ever seen. Noah watches, not fully understanding, but he feels it. Something is being established, and God speaks.
I establish my covenant with you. I will never again destroy the earth with water. This will be the sign between me and creation.
The ark remains, bridging heaven and earth, like a signature, like a visible promise. Noah keeps looking, his eyes reflecting the colors. And for the first time since the flood, there is peace. But time continues. The earth begins to be inhabited again. Life returns. Generations will rise. Cities will be built again. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the heart of man will drift again. The world has restarted, but man has not fully changed. And what was purified one day will be tested again. Time advances. The earth fills once more. Families grow. Generations emerge. Cities begin to take form. The sound of life echoes again across creation. Children running, men working, women building. Everything seems stable. A man looks around and says,
Maybe it's over. We're thriving.
Yes, son. Maybe you won't come back.
The judgment had passed. The memory still remained. But it was beginning to fade, and as the years pass, fear diminishes. Not all at once, but slowly, almost unnoticed. Man begins to trust himself again, his strength, his ability, his own vision. And then a people gathers on a plain, open land, wide space, clear view. There are no natural limits. It is the perfect place to begin something great. And someone speaks,
Let's not scatter, brothers. If we stay together, we will be stronger.
Others look, interested. A man in the background adds,
If we separate, we will disappear. Let's build a city where we can all live. In the center of the city, we will build a tower. Tall, very tall. So tall that it reaches the heavens.
A young man asks, hesitant,
And if God stands against us?
Then we will rise higher still.
And no one questions anymore. They begin, organized, determined, united. Stone is not enough, so they make bricks. They burn them, harden them, refine them. More precise, more controlled. The construction begins, line by line, layer by layer. The sound of work fills the air. Hammers, voices, constant movement, and the tower rises. Days become months, months, years, and the tower keeps rising, above the houses, above the structures, above the city itself. And the higher it rises, the more something grows with it, not just the structure, but pride.
We are doing something no one has ever done.
We are becoming great. We do not need to rely on God.
If we reach the heavens, there will be nothing above us.
Silence. But no one disagrees, because all of them were already thinking the same. The city grows. The tower dominates the horizon, like a symbol, not of progress, but of defiance. A silent message. We can. We control. We decide. And then God observes. Nothing is hidden. Nothing goes unnoticed. He sees the city, the tower, but more than that, he sees the heart. United, yes, but not in truth. United in rebellion. And then God speaks. They are one people, and they have one language. Unity is recognized. But the problem is not unity, it is purpose. Nothing they plan will be impossible for them. The weight of the decision approaches, and then, let us go down and confuse their language. And in that moment, everything changes. One man speaks to another, but the words no longer make sense.
What did you say? أنا لا فاهم. Organize yourselves. أنا لا أفهم. Speak properly. أنت الذي لا تفهم.
Father, I brought water.
Qui dicit?
Father, it's me.
Non interisco.
Father? You took what is mine. Je ne comprends pas. You're lying. Qu'est-ce que tu dis?
Communication breaks immediately, completely, irreversibly. Groups begin to form. People who once worked together now cannot understand each other.
Pass the hammer. What? Pass the hammer. What are you saying? Are you joking? No entiendo.
Frustration, anger, shouting, attempts, nothing works. Chaos grows fast.
Where is the boy? Stop this!
What was unity becomes division. What was strength becomes weakness. The construction stops. Not for lack of material, not for lack of strength, but for lack of understanding. The tower remains unfinished, like a monument, not of greatness, but of limitation. And that place receives a name, Babel, because there language was confused, and men were scattered. They depart in groups, separated, each in a different direction, carrying with them their new language, their new identity, and their own version of the world. Silence returns to the plain. The tower remains still, a witness to something greater. Because every time man tries to rise above what was established, God intervenes. The world was divided, humanity was scattered, but the problem was not resolved because pride still remained, and the story was far from over. The world was scattered, nations arose, different languages, different paths, different cultures, but one thing remained the same: the heart of man, distant, distracted, and now surrounded by gods made by their own hands. A man carves an image, another watches and asks,
Will it hear us? If we believe, it will.
The distortion remains. In the midst of it all,
One man, not a king, not a warrior, a common man, living an ordinary life. His name, Abraham. He was not seeking something great. He was not expecting something different. Life continued, days the same, routine. Until God spoke. Not to the world, not to nations, but to him. Abraham. He stops, looks around. Silence. But he knows. The voice did not come from outside. It came from within. Deep. Real.
Abraham.
Yes, Lord.
And then the call. Go. From your land. Abraham breathes deeply. Looks around. Everything he knows. From your kindred. And go to the land I will show you. There is no map, no direction, no explanation, only a voice. Abraham remains silent, processing, and then asks,
Where should I go, my Lord?
The answer comes simply, I will show you.
So, I'll go.
And then the promise, I will make of you a great nation. Abraham reacts, looks around. Nothing around him indicates that, but the voice continues, I will bless those who bless you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. The weight of it goes beyond understanding.
Me, alone.
Silence. But the answer has already been given. Abraham does not understand everything, but he decides. He leaves. His land, his security, his past. Because sometimes, faith is not understanding. It is obedience. Time passes. The journey continues. Days become years, and the promise seems distant. Very distant. Sarah, his wife, barren. Time moves forward. The body ages, and nothing happens. One night, Abraham looks at the sky, the stars, countless. Sarah approaches and says,
Do you still believe?
I don't know how. But I can stop believing.
And then God speaks again. Look to the sky. Abraham looks. Count the stars. He tries, but he cannot. There are too many. So shall your descendants be. Silence. Abraham breathes deeply and answers,
Sir, how will this be possible?
Doubt appears, but not as rejection, as a search. Time passes and waiting grows heavy. Sarah speaks to him.
Maybe the promise won't come through me. Take my servant.
What if we are getting ahead of ourselves?
And what if we are waiting too long?
A human decision, an attempt to solve the divine. Silence. And he agrees. Ishmael is born. Abraham holds the child, but something does not fully align, because that was not the plan. And God speaks again.
No.
Simple, direct.
The promise will not come from there. Sarah will bear a son.
Abraham reacts, almost in disbelief.
Sir, we are old.
Sarah in the background laughs softly, incredulous, and then God responds.
Is anything impossible for me?
Silence. The answer is clear. And then the impossible happens. Sarah conceives. She looks at herself, unable to believe it, and says,
This is possible.
But it is. Life emerges. Where there was no possibility, and is born
Isaac, the son of the promise.
Abraham holds the child in silence, eyes filled with tears. Sarah watches and says, moved,
He laughed before. Now we are the ones laughing.
The promise lives on.
Time passes. Isaac grows. The promise becomes visible, real, concrete. And then God speaks again.
Abraham.
He answers without hesitation. Here I am. But this time, the voice comes different, heavier.
Take your son, your only son.
The air grows heavy. Whom you love. Abraham closes his eyes, breathes deeply, and then the command,
offer him as a sacrifice.
Absolute silence. Abraham does not answer, but something within him breaks. No explanation, no reason, only obedience. The next morning, Abraham rises, without saying much, prepares everything. Isaac watches him, senses something.
Dad? Where are we going?
Up the mountain.
Simple, direct. They walk. The path is long, silent, heavy. At one moment, Isaac tries again.
Is it for a sacrifice?
Yes.
Father, we have the wood, we have the fire, but where is the lamb?
Time seems to stop. Abraham looks at his son, eyes full, and answers,
God will provide for himself the lamb.
Isaac watches, but does not insist. He trusts. They reach the top. The wind blows. The silence is deep. Abraham builds the altar, each stone placed as if it were a weight. Isaac watches and begins to understand.
Dad, is that me?
Silence. Abraham cannot answer with words, but his eyes confirm it. Isaac breathes deeply, closes his eyes for a moment, and then says,
If it's for God, I trust.
Abraham breaks inside, but continues. He lays him on the altar. His hands tremble, but do not withdraw. He raises the knife. The moment is absolute. And then, a voice.
Abraham.
He answers immediately. Here I am.
Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God.
Abraham stops. The knife lowers. His body releases. He breathes as if returning to life. And then he sees a ram there in the right place at the right time. He looks at Isaac and whispers,
He provided.
Isaac breathes in relief. Abraham looks to the sky and says,
The Lord will provide.
The sacrifice is made, but not with the son, with what God prepared. And in that moment, something greater was revealed, something beyond that mountain, something still to come.
The promise was confirmed, not only by words, but by faith, and the story now moved forward. Because God had chosen a man, and through him would change the destiny of many. The promise continued, not by human merit, but because God had decided. And through Isaac, it advanced. Isaac grew, became a man, and had 2 sons, twins, but from the beginning, different, very different. Even before they were born, something was already happening. Rebekah felt it, intense movement, restlessness, as if there were conflict. And then she asks,
Lord, what is happening to me?
And God answers, 2 nations are in your womb. One people shall be stronger than the other. The tension already existed, and the older shall serve the younger. Human logic is broken before birth. The first is born strong, impulsive, marked, named Esau. Then the other, holding his brother's heel, as if already trying to overtake him, named Jacob. Years pass, and what began in the womb grows. Esau becomes a man of the field, a hunter, instinctive, free. Jacob remains close, observant, quiet. But within him, there is something, desire, ambition, not for strength, but for position. One day, Esau returns from the field, tired, hungry, exhausted. Jacob is there preparing food. The aroma in the air, strong, irresistible.
Esau sees the food. The aroma rises in the air, strong, irresistible. And then he speaks.
Give me some of that.
Sell me your birthright.
You must be joking. I am starving. What use is this birthright to me now?
Does it serve you nothing then?
No, not now.
Then swear.
I swear.
And in that moment, the eternal is traded for the immediate. Esau takes the food, eats quickly, without looking back. Jacob watches in silence, knowing that something irreversible has happened. Time passes, but it is not forgotten. Isaac grows old, his sight fades, his body weakens. But the moment of blessing has come. He calls Esau.
My son.
Yes, Father.
Go to the field, hunt for me, and then I will bless you.
As I always have.
The promise is about to be released, but Rebekah hears and reacts. She remembers the word of God, what was spoken, and calls Jacob.
Listen, your father is going to bless your brother. Do what I tell you.
This is not right.
It was God who said it. We are only fulfilling his word.
A plan, strategy, deception. Everything happens quickly. The food is prepared, the clothes are changed, the skin is placed. Jacob looks at himself and says quietly,
If he notices,
then let the blame fall on me.
The disguise complete. Jacob enters, the atmosphere heavy.
Who is there?
it is I, Esau.
The voice is the voice of Jacob.
Jacob holds his breath, but the touch deceives. The smell confuses. Isaac, still uncertain, asks,
Are you really my son Esau?
I am.
May God give you of heaven's dew, and of earth's richness. May nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you.
Jacob closes his eyes, absorbing every word. The moment ends. Soon after, Esau enters. The silence breaks.
Father, I brought the food. What? Who was it then that was here before you? No! Bless me too, my father! I am your son too!
Silence. The truth is revealed. Too late. Esau understands and erupts, but there is nothing left to give. The word has been spoken, and it cannot be taken back. Esau falls to his knees, breathing heavily. Hatred is born. Deep, direct. He says,
When my father dies, I will finish off my brother.
Silence. But now, it is real.
Jacob flees, without honor, without home, without direction, carrying the blessing and the weight of what he had done. Night falls. He is alone, without shelter, without protection. He lies down, his head on a stone, and whispers,
What have I done?
And he sleeps. And then he dreams. But it is not ordinary. A ladder connecting earth and heaven.
I am the God of your father. The land where you lie, I will give to you. I will be with you.
The promise continues, despite everything. Jacob awakens, afraid, shaken.
The Lord is in this place, and I didn't know.
He lifts the stone, marks the place, and says,
If God is with me, then he will be my God.
There is still condition, still process. Time passes. Jacob works, deceived, broken, shaped. The one who deceived is now deceived. Years, hardship, transformation, until the moment comes, the return. But to return means facing Esau, the past, the mistake, the fear. That night, he is alone, by the river. Silence, darkness. And then someone appears without warning, without explanation, and wrestles with him. Body against body, strength against strength. No words, only struggle. Hours pass, neither yields, until the man touches his hip, and everything changes. Jacob's strength breaks, but he does not let go. He says,
I will not let you go until you bless me.
What is your name?
Jacob.
Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, the one who struggles with God.
The sun rises. Jacob is wounded, but different. Now, he carries a mark, an identity. The next day, Esau appears with men. The confrontation draws near. Jacob bows 7 times, whispers,
Have mercy.
But then Esau runs.
My brother. I thought of hating you, but I couldn't.
The past breaks. Forgiveness wins. Jacob was broken, but he was transformed, because before changing his story, God changed who he was. And the promise kept moving forward. The promise continued, now through Israel. His sons grew, a family that would become a people. But within it, there was division. Among all the sons, one stood out, Joseph. Younger, observant, sensitive, but also favored. Israel loved him differently, and that did not go unnoticed. One day he gives him a tunic, not ordinary, colorful, detailed, visible, a symbol not only of love, but of preference.
For you. Because I see in you something that others don't yet see.
Joseph puts it on, not realizing what it would cause. And his brothers see it. One whispers,
He doesn't even try to hide it anymore.
To him, we don't exist.
and they feel it. Not joy, but rejection. Their James changes. Conversations fade, silence grows, and what was discomfort becomes envy. And then Joseph dreams. A different dream, strong, vivid. He wakes, shaken, breathing fast, and tells it.
We were in the field, and your sheaves bowed down to mine.
Do you think you will reign over us? Will you actually rule us?
I only told you what I saw. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me.
What is this dream you dreamed? I will keep this in my heart.
But the brothers do not keep it. They accumulate. Resentment, anger, hatred, silent, but growing. One day, they are in the field, far away, isolated, and Israel calls Joseph.
Go to your brothers.
Yes, Father.
come back with good news.
He leaves, not knowing that this path would change everything. From a distance, the brothers see him. The tunic stands out, unmistakable.
Let's kill him. Here comes the dreamer. And we'll see what will become of his dreams.
No. Don't take his life. Throw him into the cistern.
We'll decide later.
An alternative plan. Joseph arrives, smiling, unaware.
I found you, my brothers.
And then, everything changes.
Wait, what are you doing? Please, we are brothers!
Dark, empty, no way out. Joseph cries out from below, but no one answers. They step away and sit down, as if nothing had happened. Time passes, and then a caravan passing in the distance, merchants, and one of the brothers says,
Why kill him? Why kill him?
Let's sell him like an animal.
He is no longer our brother.
The idea grows, easier, cleaner, more profitable. They pull him out. Joseph tries to climb, but not to freedom, to be sold. He looks into their eyes, desperation, disbelief.
Please. Brothers. Don't do this.
But it is already decided. They sell him for silver. And in that moment, a brother becomes merchandise. The caravan departs. Joseph looks back. He sees his brothers growing distant, and he understands. He has been abandoned.
The brothers looked at the tunic, that special garment their father had given them, and they decided to wear it. They killed a goat and soaked the tunic in its blood. They took it to their father. Without saying a word, they simply spread out the garment. Jacob recognized it immediately.
It's my son's tunic. A wild beast devoured him.
And he wept with a grief that no one could console. Meanwhile, Joseph remained alive, taken to Egypt, guarded by an invisible hand. The desert, the heat, the silence, and then Egypt, vast, imposing, strange. Joseph looks at everything, lost, and whispers,
God, are you still with me?
Silence. But he was. Joseph is sold again, now as a slave, into the house of an officer, Potiphar. And there, everything could have ended. But it does not, because God was still with him. Time passes, and something becomes evident. Joseph prospers, not by chance, but by presence. Everything he does works, grows, advances. Potiphar notices and asks,
How do you do that?
It's not me. God is the one who does it.
But then another test, more silent, more dangerous. Potiphar's wife. A constant gaze, desire, temptation. And one day she speaks.
Stay with me.
My master has entrusted everything to me. There is no one greater in this house than I, except you who are his wife. How could I do this and sin against God?
She watches him, but does not retreat. She insists. Days, pressure, constant.
Just once?
No.
Until one day she grabs him. But Joseph runs. He leaves everything behind except his integrity. And then the lie. She shouts,
He tried to touch me!
Servants appear. Confusion. Potiphar hears. Joseph tries to speak.
Sir, I don't want to hear anything more from you.
Disappointment. Contained anger. I trusted you. And without investigation, he reacts. Joseph is imprisoned, and once again, a fall. No explanation, no justice. But inside the prison, God is still there. Joseph sits in the dark and whispers,
Why?
But he does not give up. Time passes, and Joseph meets two men, disturbed, confused. He watches them and asks,
Why are you like this?
We dreamed, and there is no one to interpret it.
Dreams belong to God. Tell me. This is what your dream means. In 3 days, you will return to your post. This is what your dream means. In 3 days, your life will be taken.
Heavy silence. Before leaving, Joseph holds the restored man's arm.
Remember me when you're well. I will.
But he forgets. Time passes, and everything happens exactly as he said. More silence, more waiting, until the king dreams. Pharaoh, and no one can interpret it. Until someone remembers.
My lord, I had a dream in prison, and there was a man, a Hebrew.
He interpreted it.
Joseph is called. From the prison, straight to the palace. He is cleaned, prepared, brought in. He enters before Pharaoh. Pharaoh looks at him.
I have heard that you interpret dreams.
It is not in me, but God will give the answer.
"7 years are coming of great abundance. But then 7 years of famine will come, severe famine, so intense that the abundance will be forgotten. Store up while there is plenty, prepare before the hard days arrive, because what is preserved now will sustain lives later."
Is there anyone like this man, in whom is the Spirit of God? You will rule.
Me?
Joseph, only I will be above you.
Joseph bows, speechless. From prisoner to governor, second in command, and now he has power, authority, position, but also a history. The man who was sold now rules. The one who was forgotten is now remembered. But the story is not over, because the past would return. Time passes, the years of abundance come and go, just as it was said. And then the famine comes. Not local, not small, but widespread. Drought, lack, desperation. The land produces little, the fields fail, and the people begin to feel it. But in Egypt, there is provision, storehouses full, organization, control, and over it all, Joseph. People come from everywhere, entire nations, seeking food, seeking survival, and among them, a group. Different, but not unknown. The brothers. They enter Egypt, tired, marked by hunger, but alive, not knowing they were about to face the past. They approach and are brought before the governor, and when they arrive, they bow, without knowing, without realizing, but fulfilling exactly what had been dreamed. Joseph watches in silence. No immediate reaction, but inside, everything moves. He recognizes them instantly, every face, every detail. But they do not recognize him. Time stops for a moment. Memories return. The pit, the desert, the sale, the abandonment, and now, the power. He could reveal himself. He could take revenge. He could expose them. But he does not, because something within him had already changed. He speaks, but not as a brother, as a ruler.
Where do you come from?
From the land of Canaan. We have come to buy food. You are spies. No, sir. We are honest men.
The word echoes, honest. Joseph restrains his reaction.
We are sons of one man. One of us is no longer here, and the youngest is with our father.
One of you will stay, the others will return, and bring the youngest brother.
The condition is clear. They step away, but something changes between them.
We are being punished because of what we did to our brother. He begged us, and we didn't listen.
Joseph hears without them knowing, and for the first time, they feel weight, guilt, awareness. Time passes. They return, now with Benjamin, the youngest brother. And when Joseph sees him, something inside him breaks.
My brother.
But he controls himself. They enter, bow again, and Joseph asks,
Is this the youngest brother?
Yes, sir.
Joseph watches Benjamin for longer and says,
May God have mercy on you.
Benjamin furrows his brow as if something feels familiar, but he does not understand. They eat together, but there is still tension. There is still a test. Joseph watches in silence and prepares something. One final test. He places his cup in Benjamin's bag and lets them leave. On the road, they are overtaken, accused, searched, and then the cup is found with Benjamin. They return before Joseph, now not as buyers, but as accused men.
The one with whom she was found will stay.
Simple, direct. And then something happens. Judah steps forward, takes a deep breath, and says,
Sir, if the boy doesn't return, our father will die. I took responsibility for him. Stay with me in his place. I saw my father lose a son. I can't let him lose another.
Silence. But now it is different. They have changed. Joseph cannot hold it anymore. He stands, breathing heavily, and says,
I want everyone out now.
The room empties. Only they remain. And then he weeps, without control, without restraint, years pouring out at once. The brothers are startled. They have never seen a man like this. He looks at them with tears and says,
I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?
They do not answer. They cannot. One steps back, another lowers his head. The shock is too great. Joseph comes closer, more human.
It's me. The one you sold.
But there is no anger, no accusation, only truth. They lower their eyes. Guilt, fear, shame.
Forgive us.
Do not grieve. It wasn't you. It was God. He sent me ahead to preserve life. If I hadn't been here, you wouldn't be alive.
The past is reinterpreted. Pain gains purpose. Joseph embraces them, one by one, without haste, without distance, and for the first time, what was broken is restored. What began with betrayal ends with forgiveness. What was marked by pain now carries purpose, and the promise remains alive. Silence returns, but now it is not empty. It is peace. Joseph remains standing before his brothers after the revelation, after the tears, after the forgiveness, and then he takes the next step.
Go back. Go back to my father. Tell him that his son lives, and that he rules in Egypt.
The brothers depart, different from when they arrived, not only with food, but with truth, with restoration.
The journey back is quick, anxious, heavy. They arrive and find Jacob, aged, marked by time, but still waiting. They say,
Father, Joseph lives.
That isn't possible.
And he rules in Egypt.
The words weigh on him, but still do not convince, until they show him the signs, the gifts, the evidence. And then, something within him shifts. His breath catches, his eyes fill, and he says,
Enough. My son is still alive. I will go see him.
The journey begins, slow but determined. Jacob departs with all his household, everything he has, because now there is something greater than the past. And then, the meeting. Joseph is at a distance, watching, waiting. And when he sees him, he recognizes him immediately. He runs, without posture, without position, without title, only a son. Jacob sees him, and time stops. Everything around fades. Years of pain, of absence, of silence, all of it breaks in that moment. They embrace, strong, long, real.
Jacob says, Now I can die in peace, because I saw your face, and you are alive.
Joseph closes his eyes and simply holds tighter. Time passes. The family settles in Egypt, fertile land, safe, protected, under Joseph's care. The years go on. Jacob grows older, more, and the moment comes. He calls his sons one by one and blesses them, not only with words, but with direction, with destiny, with prophecy. He holds the hand of one of them and says,
What you will do will echo beyond your life. You don't understand now, but you will.
The sons listen in silence, because they know that moment will not return. And then he looks at all of them and says more softly,
Remain, my children, in the promise.
And then he departs, quietly, in peace. Joseph remains, now without his father, but still with purpose. He looks at the empty place and whispers,
I will, Father. I will continue.
And time passes, years, decades. Egypt changes, the world changes, but the story continues. And then Joseph grows old. His days draw near to the end. He calls his brothers and says,
I am about to depart. God will surely visit you,
and he will bring you up from this land. Take my bones when you leave here.
Are you sure?
It's not about certainty. It's about promise.
He does not speak in doubt. He speaks with conviction, because he knows. The story does not end there. Joseph closes his eyes and departs. But time continues. Generations multiply. The people grow, strengthen, become numerous. Children run, families increase, the people spread. But then, the scene changes.
And then a new king rises in Egypt, a king who did not know Joseph.
They are growing in number, my Pharaoh.
My lord, the people of Israel are numerous and stronger than we are. We need to act before they multiply even more.
And in that moment, everything changes. The look changes. The posture changes. Favor turns into threat. A soldier pushes a Hebrew. Another shouts orders. The atmosphere grows heavy. The people who were preserved would now be oppressed. The place of provision would become a place of slavery. But the promise was still alive. Because what God begins, He does not abandon. Even when time passes, even when the setting changes, even when it feels like silence.
Lord, He is yours.
The story did not end. It only moved forward. Because one day, a deliverer would rise.
Moses.
Who are you?
I am who I am.
And what began with a promise would become a nation. And what was preserved in Egypt would be brought out with power. And so begins the story of Exodus.
Let my people go to make such a demand.